Hi, my name is Karina, and today I'm going to attempt to. Oh, dog hair. I'm going to attempt to draw out my life today. I was born and raised in this little country that fits into Texas, and it is Germany. And I was born sort of where that dot is in Bavaria. So this is my dad with his cool beard, and he played trombone in the orchestra, and he also is a jazz musician. And that's my mom, and she also played in the dog hair alert. Okay. All right, so my dad is American, and he moved to Germany in, I think, when he was like in his late 20s. And my mom's German, and so they met in Germany. There's my dad with his trombone. Wow. And the most artistic rendition of a flute you'll ever see. Okay, so they fell in love, and then they had me. And I was born early, but I was super hairy. I had lots of hair. And so people would come and look at the super tiny but really hairy baby. And this is my dad. He's breaking into the hospital because it was after hours and they wouldn't let him in. But he was determined to come see me anyway. And I'm not really going to get into it in this video, but my dad raised me pretty much by himself. And growing up, I had what I called my brothers, but they were really just like the boys in the neighborhood. But we spent like every minute together, went to school together and all this stuff. And so I was a total tomboy since, my dad raised me and everybody around me, they were all boys. So we would build igloos and forts and dig up bones and all kinds of wild stuff. And the only really girly thing that I would do was ballet. I really loved it. And I painted and, danced. And I also learned guitar, but I hated guitar. And then I amputated my finger on accident, so no more guitar. It sewed my finger back on, so I still have the finger, but there's no joint in it. And I was really happy that I didn't have to play guitar anymore. And then this is a super artistic rendition of my trombone, which, of course, since my dad is a trombone player, I had to learn trombone. It's kind of a family tradition. Like almost everybody in my family plays trombone. And I played in my dad's quartet that he led. And then I also played in a big band in my school. And then I also joined a youth orchestra. And that was a ton of fun because we got to go tour different places in Europe, like in the Alps and stuff like that. That was the Alps. Also super artistic, I know. And then I know you can't tell by this whole draw of my life because it's the disaster, but I actually became a graffiti artist, and my tag was Miss Prissy and Toodles. And my dad basically told me that he wouldn't stop me, but I should just never get caught, and I didn't. And also, no worries, we never tagged anybody's, private property. We only ever spray painted government property, which is way better, or like things that were abandoned, When I was 12 years old, I got a paper route, so that was my first little job. And then when I was 14, I started selling t-shirts to my friends. I would just do their name and, graffiti writing. And at 16, people loved my stuff so much that they actually would just get my tag. So it was kind of almost like a little brand that I had. And I also started getting paid by the government to do graffiti around town because they wanted to have the city be more hip or some shit. So my first real big paycheck was from the city to do graffiti. And then at 17, I started living by myself. I had my own apartment, and I worked for a party promotion agency because in Germany, the laws for when you can go to the club are very different. And then at 18, my life changed a whole lot. My dad had actually moved to America the year prior. And so when I was 18, I decided that I would also try living in America, and I had to pack up all of my belongings into one box and one suitcase and give everything else away and hop on a plane. This plane looks more like a shark, so we made it into a shark. But yeah, so I decided that I would move also, and that was really scary because I was going all by myself. A bunch of my friends were supposed to come with, but they all bailed, so it was just me. and I just had no idea how it was going to turn out and what was going to happen. So as you might have already deduced, I didn't have a lot of rules growing up with my dad. It was just kind of don't hurt anybody, don't get caught doing anything illegal, and don't do any wild drugs. And I didn't. And so when I moved to America, I was 18 and I'd been working at the club as a translator for all the like celebrities that would come through, and promoting parties and everything like that. And so when I moved in with my grandparents, who my cousins and I call the G units, they try to treat me like an American 18-year-old, and that just didn't really work. And long story for another day, but they ended up kicking me out. So I hastily packed everything into my car one Thursday night and moved to Chicago all by myself once again. Then there was a couple months of just wild stuff. I was homeless for a hot minute and whatever. And then I started going to college in Chicago, and I got my degree in interior architecture and design, and my school ended up shutting down and blah blah. So didn't really end up utilizing my degree all that much. But I met my best friend Wiz. We actually hated each other when we were in class together. We were in debate class, and oh my god, we did not like each other. And then his apartment flooded one day, and he ended up having to emergency stay with me, and I found out that he wasn't so bad. So now he's kind of like my brother, and we got a dog together. Her name is, I call her Badu. He calls her Lux, so she has two names. And he is a haute couturier, so he makes clothes. That's up there as a runway. Now he lives in Atlanta, and he works on all these big movies and commercials and all this stuff. He worked on Selma, and just holy shit, he's awesome. And while I was in college, I started nannying, and I nannied for a family with 3 boys, and I got to speak German with them. That was really cool. And I realized that I am really good at taking care of kids. And so I kept getting referred to different families, and I kind of just kept getting twin families. And so I became a full-time nanny for 3 different families. And that was really cool because, I'm really nurturing, and I got to just like pour all my love into these kids and teach them German and build cool forts and and then in 2014 I met Essence, my now best friend. We'd met each other on Tumblr before, but then we met in real life at this thing I created called the Big Bellied Babes Brunch. I know, super cheesy. But we found out that we both really love burlesque, and I was like, holy shit, another person. And I'd had this idea of creating an all plus size burlesque troupe, and Essence was like, hell yes, let's do it. And so we started planning and organizing, and we found a bunch of other people on Tumblr that also wanted to join, and so we created an all plus size burlesque troupe. And in 2015, in I think April, we had our very first show, and it sold out, and we had a standing ovation. And it was like one of the best moments of my whole life, because I got to be with all these amazing fat babes, and I got to be creative again and dance again and do all the things that I had stopped really doing when I moved to America. And we called ourselves the Femme Fatales. And after that first show, there was just no more going back, and we've been doing this thing ever since then. So that's been pretty magical. So of course, everybody in the troupe started being friends with each other, because most of us didn't know each other before we created the troupe. And we've been, I think we've had like 18 different troupe members, and we're kind of like family. But the people that I bonded with the most have been, of course, Essence, and then also Wheatsy and Sam. And they're just my family now, even though they're friends. So, you know, they're family, and we kind of do everything together. And Sam lives at our house on the weekends, and Wheatsy's just kind of always there. And we always go to burlesque shows together, and we go on road trips, and, you know, we are just kind of inseparable. And it's been kind of the best thing that's ever happened to me. Whew. Okay, so in 2016, I quit all of my nannying jobs. I'd been trying to quit since like 2015, but the families just wouldn't find anybody else. They were like, no, you can't leave. So, and also like I was super attached to all the kids. So it took me a year to quit. And so I'd been modeling on and off since I was 12. And in 2016, I finally went, full-time with modeling, and that's what I'm still doing. Right now it's 2018, well, almost 2019, but here we are. That is supposed to be camera taking a picture of me. I tried. So yeah, thank you for watching. And stay tuned for what happens in 2019 and beyond. So thank you for being here. And one more dog hair.